gotta move, child, you gotta move. But when the Lord gets ready, you gotta down the street, you see that policeman, he's on his feet. But when the Lord gets ready, you gotta move, child, you gotta move. But when the Lord gets ready, you gotta Hey, how you doing? Justin here. Today we are checking out the blues standard You Gotta Move. I'm basing this on the Mississippi Fred McDowell version, but it's very similar to the probably better known version by the Rolling Stones. Now we are in open D tuning. If you're not sure about open D tuning, there's lessons on the website, but the basic idea here is we've got the notes D, A, D, F sharp, A, and D. Okay, so the A and the D strings are the two that are going to stay the same. The G string is tuned down a semitone to the F sharp, and the two outside strings and the B string are all tuned down one tone. So you get this very nice open D chord by playing all of the strings open. Now, as you probably noticed, I'm playing it on a resonator guitar. This works on an acoustic guitar, an electric guitar. The one thing, if you're playing a lot of slide guitar, you probably want to have a slightly higher action than you might on your regular guitar, because one of the key things about slide guitar is not letting the slide touch the frets. You've got to press hard enough to get the note clear, but not so hard as the frets or the slide or the string ever touch the frets. In the lesson, I'm going to try and talk a little bit about general slide technique as well as playing the notes, because this is a really, really great tune for looking at all of these different elements that you might want to learn if you want to get into slide guitar. You know, I'm not an expert in the field. I really enjoy playing slide. It's like a little side hobby kind of thing. I don't feel like a real expert on it, so I'm hoping that I'll be able to kind of help you through with many of the parts that I kind of struggled with as well. One of the biggest deals is going to be about the picking hand, or the hand that you're plucking the strings with, because that does an awful lot of muting, right? If you don't want any notes ringing out when you're playing slide guitar, you've got to mute them, right? So that's one of those things that takes probably the most kind of effort, more than just the position of the slide, is working out how you're going to mute the individual strings so you only get the ones that you want. That said, part of this style is a bit about the looseness of it, and it is allowing some of the strings to ring out that you maybe, it could be done a bit clearer, but it kind of feels a little bit nicer if it's a little bit crunchy and a little bit rattly sometimes and there's strings ringing out. So you got to try and find the balance. I'm going to try and show it to you as exactly as I can on a very specific arrangement that I've done, which, like I said, is based on the Mississippi Fred McDowell one. It's not exactly the same. Particularly on the 5 chord, he just plays the open D string again, but I like to play the fifth open 5th string instead. Just feel like it moves the harmony a little bit better. But I mean, it's it's not one to criticize his arrangement. It's just like I feel it's slightly different. So you could choose which one of those things that you want to do. Anyway, let's get to a close up and check out how to get started. So this first lick, let's just get that far first. Okay, so we're playing the thinner string, but note the thumb here is muting. It's touching the 2nd string, and it's muting all of the strings. So we're just hearing that thinner string. If I strummed it from the other side, it's just one note coming out. I'm using my 1st finger to pluck. So slide is going up to the 4th fret first of all. Now note here as well, you can't really see it very well, but that's flat against the neck, like touching all of the strings. And in this particular case, on the very first one, I'm angling the slide a little bit this way, so I could get those other strings. Now, I don't want all of those other strings actually, but I want some of them to be able to ring out a little bit. And I do want, just on that top note, I'm going to play the thicker string. So I'm covering them all to start off with. I'm playing the thinner string, open, then sliding up to the 4th fret, 5th fret, and as I'm going from the 5th fret to the 7th, I'm going to pluck that thicker string. Help you with your tuning a bit as well. Now you can see here already, I'm starting to let some go, not... That's keeping it all muted. Or see if I let some of the strings ring out. Can let them ring out in sympathy a bit. Now, just as a little note about the vibrato thing too. Vibrato technique is probably a bigger thing than just this lesson, but the one trick that tip that I'll give you is keeping the thumb still at the back of the neck. So it should be right in the middle, and the thumb is while I'm doing this, the thumb is staying in the same place. Let me just see if I can spin the guitar around and get that in focus. So while I'm doing the vibrato, thumb is stationary while the slide is moving. Okay, so that's one thing that you might find helpful when you're working on your vibrato, is keeping that thumb stationary. Don't try and wobble your whole hand. That makes it massively complicated. So again, open, 4, 5, 7, and we play, plucking with the thumb on the thicker string as we slide up to that. You want to think about, it's a good way of getting it in tune when you've got an open string, because if you it sounds pretty wonky, right? It's going to be good for you getting your slide in tune. Remember as well with slide guitar, if I didn't mention it already, you're always going right above the fret, not just behind the fret like you would when you're regularly fretting with your finger. So when I'm saying the 4th fret, I'm putting the slide like right above the metal of the 4th fret, not just behind like you would with your finger. Now here, we've got this kind of percussive, it's just I'm using these 3 fingers and just kind of hitting it down on the strings. Sometimes I'm letting them ring out more, sometimes it's more of a hit. I don't think it really matters, just depends on your vibe. So that's happening on beat 2. And then we're playing a fretted note, so thumb is going to be playing the thicker string. To try and remember what fret I use. Yeah, I'm using my 2nd finger there on the 3rd fret of the thicker string, and then playing the open D string again, the open thicker string. So good idea would be just to repeat that a little bit. So it's this. This is the and 4 and. So 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and... Like, if you can get that right, most of the rest of the tune is not too difficult, because that's kind of the crux of it, is getting that little hit and then the bend down to the open string. So it's mixing up fretted notes and slide. It's a really, really good little exercise, this one. So 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, so the second phrase is 7th fret on the thinner string, and you can kind of hear a tail, and then we're playing the 5th fret on the 2nd string. But really important, again, the fretting hand, as I'm going to play that 2nd string, my thumb is muting again all of the strings, and importantly my driving finger is touching the thinner string to mute it. There, it's muting. Otherwise you get the two ringing out together, and it's not. So as I'm going to pluck that driving finger is touching the thinner string, thumb is moved over to the 3rd string, and now we go back. So again, first finger is now plucking the thinner string, and thumb has moved back over to mute the 2nd string. Again, that little phrase would be really useful to practice, just to work on your muting. Change. So now, remember, the 2nd finger, your middle finger, sorry, is touching the thinner string. There. And back. This movement from the thinner string to the 2nd string is really, really important, and getting used to moving the thumb, and the muting all moves over. I'm plucking nearly all of the notes with my 1st finger, okay? And the other fingers of this hand are just, well, the thumb on the 1st finger. But the rest of the time, the hand is really just focused on muting strings, which, as I said, you want to learn how to do it as exactly as you can, but the reality is that you might want to let some ring open and explore it a little bit on your own. So those first couple of phrases now. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so it's that same. Then okay, so this is just all little melody. There's no little bass line here. So it's going 7, 7, 5, 5, 5, 5, 7, 4, open, and then to the 5th fret on the 2nd string. It's the same note, and that's one of the differences there with the Rolling Stones one. They changed the order up a little bit, but I definitely like the Mississippi Fred McDowell version of this better. Three and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. On the 5, sometimes you do it. You can slide up to, and I think that one of the Mississippi Fred McDowell version things is that he sometimes holds the vocal steady while the guitar is sliding up, whereas again the Rolling Stones ones, Mick Jagger tends to move child. He kind of slides up to it with his voice as well at the same time. So you can choose, again, make up your own version. You don't have to do it exactly one way or the other unless you really like it. Move child, you got to move. Okay, and again you've got that hit, 3rd fret to open on the thickest string. This next phrase, open B string, and again, driving finger is touching the thinner string, thumb is muting all the rest, first finger is plucking the second string, sliding up to the third fret, moves over, thinner string, fourth fret. And then we're going to have that the thicker string. So here, this one, it's the angled slide again, so I can get that open string. So if there's that danger of the slide. You can, if you want to have it flat, you can have it down lower. I'll be honest, I don't know which is particularly better for any particular thing. I'm not an expert slide guitar player, just really enjoy it, and I think you will enjoy it as much as me if you follow along. So this, the rhythm of this is slightly different. It's 3 and 4 triplet, 1, 2 and 3, 4. So this is on beat 4. This is slide up to the 4th fret. Now here, 5 3 0 0 0 0 3 5 3 5. Now this is the one bit on the original version. Fred McDowell hits the thicker string. He goes. And I like the feeling of it going to the 5. So I always play the open 5th string there with my thumb. Okay. If you want, you can put that 5th string in. You don't have to. That's my little take on it. The rhythm of that, I guess, is important as well. So to go from a little climb up, oh, when the long 1, 2 and 3, 4, 1 triplet, 2 and 3, and 4 triplet, 1, 2 and 3. And that's it. That's the arrangement all the way through. So one more time through that last section, actually. So just to be super clear on that part. So this, and 4 triplet, 1, 2 and 3, 4, 1 triplet, 2 and 3, and 4 triplet, 1, 2 and 3, and let's have a play through real slow. I'll try and count it all of the way through. I won't do it with the lyric yet. The way it's played instrumentally and the way it's sung is exactly the same. More or less, like I'm not sure I ever play it exactly the same, but I've tried to make a set arrangement for you to follow as a starting point. So that's what we're going to be doing, nice and slow. So 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 triplet, 1, 2 and 3, 4, 1 triplet, 2 and 3 and 4 triplet, 1, 2 and 3. Now, a couple of points here, little things. There's slides up to each of those notes. So that kind of thing takes a little bit of practice. You probably want to start or just getting used to, really trying to get it in tune. It's the hardest part, is getting the slide to be right above the fret every time, making sure your vibrato isn't wobbling too far one way or the other way to make the note sound out of tune, unless that's what you're going for, which you're not most of the time. And making sure, again, you keep the pulse right. So, playing it long real slow and just really making sure that you've got the beat Okay, a lot of the early blues music is a little bit loose with how many beats there are in the bars, but this one's pretty consistent, and you've got to keep it nice and consistent. It sounds weird if it's like if you're speeding up or slowing down. A real common thing for people learning this sort of thing is speeding up in the easy bits and slowing down in the hard bits, and it just don't sound good. So you're better off doing the whole thing a lot slower. Now, what I've just shown you there would be the intro, and also used for the vocals. But there's a second part where he essentially does exactly what he's doing on the thinner string, on the 4th string and the 5th string. But the pattern of it is the same. The rhythms are the same. So it makes it a little different. There's a few variations that I've kind of fallen into the habit of using down there. I'm going to leave you to explore them on your own, or watch the little intro bit and nick some of my licks if you want, or listen to the Stones, or listen to Fred McDowell, or one of the other many people that have covered this tune and steal other licks for it. That's totally legit as well. But basically what happens, instead of going, it goes here. So it was here. Now it's just an octave lower. Was here. Now it's here. It's just moved over to the 4th string, 5th string, 4th string. Same stuff. Again is now. And again is it's ready, red slide. I don't think I explained that on here. Pick, slide, open. And here I go, sliding up to the 3rd fret on the 3rd fret on the 5th string. Then it's back up high, you sing along, just making sure you keep the rhythm right as you go. But when the Lord gets ready, you gotta move. If you've never ever played slide guitar, you're going to find this tune a little challenging, but it is really good fun. And my own journey with slide guitar has literally just been kind of mucking around and trying to figure it out. And then the great Ariel Posen, the slide guitar player, popped over for a session. He was really talking about the muting thing, which I kind of was aware of, but he really made it completely clear that the biggest deal with slide guitar, like obviously you want to keep your slide parallel to the frets. You want to try and keep your vibrato moving evenly on either side of it. You can think about the angle of the slide as to whether you're playing just one string or whether you're playing more. But the biggest deal is this hand, is the muting, making sure that you mute the strings that you don't want to hear. Because that's the thing with slide guitar. If you don't mute them, they ring out, right? So that's the most difficult part of it. Personally, what I found was being aware of it and then just thinking about muting everything with my thumb and then playing everything with my first finger, and if I needed to, using my second finger to mute any strings that were like on the ground side of the note that I was playing. That really helped. It's kind of, and since then I just played around with that idea, and I suspect that for you, if you're not that familiar with slide guitar and you want to have a bit of a go at it, that's actually what I'd suggest. Have a go at this tune, have some fun with it, explore it. Don't be like, oh, I'm going to nail this tune in one afternoon, because it's probably unlikely if you're new to slide guitar. It's going to take a little bit longer than that. But I find it really rewarding. I really enjoy playing with slide. It's such a different beast. It's one of those things that I often turn to when I'm feeling a bit kind of on a plateau or a bit stagnating on regular guitar. I turn to slide guitar or pedal steel or whatever, other instruments to try and just, feel the enjoyment of learning something new and exploring a new field. I think it's beautiful for that. Like I say, you definitely don't have to have a resonator. I think that this sounds good on it, but it works great on a regular acoustic guitar as well. You just might want to think about having a guitar set up with a higher action. So if you've been looking for a good excuse to buy another guitar, you just got one. You can send your donations in via the usual channels on the website for that one. Yeah, but having a dedicated slide guitar, very, very good idea. It makes it lots easier than if you got one of those super slinky guitars with a really low action that's really easy to play. Slide guitar will be very difficult to play on that kind of instrument. So having I've always had dedicated electric guitars for it, and now this is my acoustic guitars aren't set up for slide, which is a really good reason for me to buy a resonator, right? Like I actually really needed one because I'm such a blues slide guitar demon. But isn't it beautiful? I just love it. I've wanted one of these ever since Brothers in Arms. Hey, probably lots of us feel the same way. Anyway, yeah, really hope you enjoy this lesson. I'll see you for plenty more very soon. If you're really into your blues, do go and check out my blues immersion course over on the website as well. A 6-month intensive program designed to really lift your game on blues guitar. It's really been really good fun. Great fun for me writing it, and the students are loving it as well. So you might want to go and check that out too. Have yourself a fantastic day, and I'll see you for plenty more very soon. Bye bye.